Dom Show. This summit's brought to you by attorney Andrew Gracie, the law offices of Peebles and Gracie. He's been in practice for 17 years, working with dead people and old people. If you're alive and soon to be dead, you need to contact Mr. Gracie. His main office is in Dunedin at 727-736-1411. What did he do? His practice handles life care planning, wills, trusts, probate law, estate planning, and powers of attorney. You can also reach him at Peebles and Gracie online, peoplesandgracie.com. I'm getting better every week at that, man.
Of course you are.
I'm getting better.
Practice makes perfect.
One of my newest sponsors, the Ask the Dom Show. Judge Shanti's live in studio. Judge Holder's here with me. Judge Manning, Colonel Reyes, all-star military and judicial cast for the Ask the Dom Veteran Show tonight. It is one of my favorite shows of the year. 727-579-1025. 800-771-1025. If you have questions about, we have Veterans Treatment Court. We've got the Veterans Outreach Program. So before folks call in, let's just start, Judge Shanti, if we can, let's describe the difference between these programs so folks understand exactly what they are and how these programs can help them.
Sure. So for your listeners, Veterans Treatment Court, it's based on, as I indicated earlier, you have to be a U.S. military service member, and as a result of your military service, you have acquired a mental health-related disorder, a substance abuse, drug-related disorder. As a result of that service, you've committed a criminal offense, and if you're amenable to treatment that the court will oversee and that the Veterans Administration will provide, then you are a member of our Veterans Treatment Court. We have approximately 200 veterans. As Colonel Reyes pointed out, we are the largest Veterans Treatment Court in the state of Florida and arguably in the country based on volume of veterans that we are assisting and saving, as well as our mentor corps. Over 100 mentors that provide assistance to our veterans. This Friday, we have a Veterans Salute we do every year. We'll be graduating our 700th veteran this Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've only been in existence for 6 years.
6 years.
So it's an incredible milestone. I mean, this court, it's a labor of love for myself as a combat veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, and for all of our mentors. We do it out of compassion, out of love for our brothers and sisters who are struggling. We've all deployed, we've had our own experiences, and we've returned, changed, myself included. But through family, through friends, through faith, I was able to get through my experiences, and I'm just thankful to be in a position to provide oversight, to provide guidance, to show compassion, to break down these traditional barriers of resistance that people would reasonably expect to have in a courtroom when they see a judge in the robe and the bench. I'm there to try to build trust. So for your listeners, it's if you've never been to a Veterans Treatment Court, I would encourage you to take time to come visit us in our court. It's your court, and we conduct court every week. And I think it's a pretty moving experience. And I would like to also add that while we are dealing with veterans who have committed criminal offenses, any veteran that's out there among your listening audience, I would like to appeal to you. If you're struggling, if you're in a state of hopelessness, we're here for you. We are a family of service members. We care about each other. We work so hard every day so that, you have a better tomorrow. And we try to provide hope so that you can live a more purposeful life. And I would want your veterans that are a part of your listening audience to know that there are folks like us in the Veterans Treatment Court that care about you. And whether you have committed a criminal offense or not, come by and visit. Just talk. We're there to listen and to provide guidance. So.
And, Judge, with that being said, I wanted to ask, Ben Swig is live in studio here. Ben received an invitation from Your Honor to come and to sit in on a Friday and witness Veterans Treatment Court. And, Ben, if you don't mind, just sharing with the listeners your experience, because you went, I think you were going to stay for a little bit. You ended up staying all day.
Well, yeah, Judge Shanti and you and I went out to dinner afterwards, and I was talking to him, and he invited me down to see a graduation. I think it was on a Friday. And I saw the graduation, and then sort of just hung out. And so, just wanted to see what this whole thing was about. And as somebody in recovery, and as somebody who deals with people suffering with the disease, I was just in awe of how this court handled not only our veterans but people who are suffering from this disease. I know, there was, I was talking to the judge in the break, and there was something that stuck out at me one time where this gentleman got up there, and he had a relapse, and I'm thinking to myself, I've been in courts before. This guy's going back to jail for being dirty, and instead, the judge said, what can we do for you? What are we doing something or something that I'm paraphrasing, but it was amazing. It was if every court in this country, and I know a lot of them are doing it now, and I also understand there's a fine line between facing consequences, but at the same time acknowledging that there's hope. And that there's somebody there for you. And although the judge sits up on the bench, he's that I sat in front of way too many times, allegedly. Allegedly.
Yes. That's right.
But I sat there all day, and I don't do anything, sit anywhere for that extended amount of time. But I was just in awe. I truly was in awe, and thank you, Judge.
And it's an open courtroom, so for folks listening. You can go down and you can sit in and you can watch really any courtroom.
Oh, so it wasn't that special of an invitation?
But for folks, it was an invitation for you because we had gone out afterwards, and the judge was sincere because he wanted you to see how the process goes. But for folks that are listening for the first time or listening all the time but hearing this show with the judges in and say, well, let me go down and see what it's about. Judge, they're welcome to sit in.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I extended the invitation. Sure. This is your case. Just preside over it, and I work with all of the dedicated men and women who bring their best every day. And as Ben was commenting on, we're trying to break down barriers. We're trying to instill trust and create a safe place for these veterans who are struggling. They're hopeless. And we are trying to help stabilize them, help give them purpose, address root causes. If they've relapsed, I understand. We're trying to get to that root problem as to why they relapsed. If they're homeless, why are they homeless? Is there a mental health component? Get them to the services they need. And the critical component, which is what I would love your viewers to understand and appreciate, is that the mentor core is what makes this program so successful. Those battle buddies, those shipmates, they have built a bond between the mentor and the veteran where there is an expectation of success. And it is unlike any other problem-solving court in this county, in the state, across the country. That is why veteran treatment courts, they're growing like wildfire. We're now in 44, 45 states. There's about 480 veteran treatment courts across the country. Right now, Congressman Christ and Congressman Bilirakis have co-sponsored, prime-sponsored legislation in Washington. It just passed the House. Now it's over in the Senate, and if it passes, it will federalize resources for all of these veteran treatment courts.
That's spectacular.
And the other thing is, I don't know if you said it yet, but what you told me, Break, about the success rate. I mean, we talk about if it works, does it work? I mean, so when the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, so when we look at measurements of success in any courtroom, in Veterans Treatment Court, you're looking at recidivism rates, you're looking at graduation rates. I look at our incarceration rates, our homeless rates, our suicide rates. All of those numbers are in the positive direction. For our recidivism, we're now at 10 or less percent for recidivism. So for your audience, that's 90% of the people that graduate from our program do not come back into the criminal justice system. That is an incredible accomplishment.
That is awesome.
It's almost hard to believe.
It's unheard of.
If you were not in our court witnessing what we do every day, what those mentors do in between court dates, it's hard to comprehend. But if you come watch like Ben did, you understand.
You get it. You get it. And also, I mean, there's two things that I think it works. It's compassion, empathy. Actually, three: compassion, empathy, and relatedness. Right? Is that through the mentorship program, that vet knows, or that person struggling knows, that when he's talking to that other person, they've both been to hell.
Right.
And they're fighting like hell every day not to get back. And there's something powerful about the power of relatedness.
And that's an important point as well, because Colonel Reyes can speak to it as Judge Holder. We've all been in combat. We've all seen the horrors of combat, and we have our own stories. We have our own difficulties, but yet we can bring that to bear to help solve problems, to help break down barriers that veterans face, because they trust these mentors. Colonel Reyes, when he engages, he's been in multiple operations. He's seen everything. And so a veteran who's struggling with his or her own experience, they can relate to a Colonel Reyes. They can relate to a Judge Shanti who's been there as well, or to a Judge Holder who's been there. So when that judge is trying to show that compassion, that barrier has been broken. We're now making a real connection with these veterans.
And that's a powerful bond, and I think that's a big part of the successfulness of this program, because it's almost like a new team effort. You're part of a new platoon, if you will, going through a different phase in this individual's life with their struggles. Let's jump back to the phone lines, because also we're here for the folks. Jeffrey, Kevin, Sam in that order. Jeffrey's been holding the longest. Jeffrey, you got a tax deed issue. What's going on here? Back taxes? They trying to sell that sucker on you? What's going on, my friend?
No. Can I first say something to the prior segment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you think that the program for the veterans could be used in any other society, or is it something that could translate into another, for other defendants?
Yeah, brilliant question. In fact, the state attorney is investigating using the mentor model in the juvenile court, specifically juvenile drug court, for example. That's a brilliant question, because this model would work. The issue and the problem and the difficulty is finding those men and women to serve as mentors. Where do they come from? I mean, all of us in this room are out every day at the American Legion, the VFW, the DAV, ESGR, the Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. We're talking up our program, and we're recruiting men and women, because we lose mentors to permanent change of station orders if they're on active duty, new jobs, or burnout. Believe me, it's pretty labor intensive, mentally and physically. And so consequently, we have to replenish the ranks. But yes, this program, this model would work in the drug courts, in any problem-solving court.
And I'll tell you, Jeffrey, I've spoken with our chief judge, Judge Figueroa, who's also going to be on this program in January. We're going to start the 2020 season off with not only our current chief judge, but our prior chief judge, Judge Alvarez. Can you imagine that? Those two are, that's going to be a wild show. We're going to have a fun time there. Our chief judge, our state's attorney, Andrew Warren, our public defender, Julian Holt, all of them are working in some of these other areas to do these programs. That is a model from the Veterans Treatment Court. But before I jump to Kevin and Sam, did you have a specific question for me? I know it's about property or real estate law. I didn't want to glance over that real quick if you want to shoot it to me.
Real quick, I'm a tenant in a property that apparently before the owner that I rented from, there was back taxes owed.
Right.
And it has now, and I just this morning or just this evening when I got home, I have a notice to occupants of premises described possession and tenant or of determination, notice of to tenant of termination.
Okay, so is it an eviction? Is it an eviction notice, or is it?
Sounds like a writ of possession.
Basically, a pre-demand to vacate the premises, but it does say that I have to 12/7/2019 if I can prove that I'm not the mortgage or the tax deed holder,
Right.
Or the tax holder. You know, I'm not the one who owes the tax. That I'm the one who's a tenant, and that I have a written agreement. And my question comes down to there's one little spot on this thing that says your rent must be delivered. Now, does that mean for me to stay until December, I need to deliver rent monies to this other company? Or do I just have until I get an eviction notice from a judge?
What I want you to do is I want you to honor the lease agreement you have with the party in which you engage the lease agreement with. Because if you break that, well,
she already told me not to pay her any more money.
Well, Jeffrey, let me do this because I know I'm running short on time and I got a lot of calls here. First things first, don't break any agreement. Don't listen to somebody telling you to break a contract. You're going to get into trouble doing that, number one. Number two, for folks listening, the tax deed is because some back taxes haven't been paid and they're looking to sell the property. So so for folks listening as to what Jeffrey's dynamic is, what's going on, go to AskTheDom.com and we give you my real estate attorney. His name is Joe Kalish. He's wonderful. He's been doing this for about 35 years. He's in Carrollwood. And I like to take a look at what you received. If you can send me that via email, it's a secure site. I like to read that just to make sure I'm looking at the same thing you are. We're more than happy to help you. Kevin and Sam, how much time do we have? We're flying through everything here, Kevin.
We have about 39 minutes of show left.
Are you kidding me?
No.
That's a great show then.
We are way behind.
We got a lot of stuff to do. Kevin, a company hired someone from the program. I think he's talking about the Veterans Treatment Program. So don't go anywhere. And then Sam has just a question that says nicotine. I'm not quite sure what that is, but we can get into that specifically when we come back. So this segment's brought to you by Shula Burgers, the best burgers in the Bay. You want Shula Howard Avenue in Soho District of South Tampa, 813-867-8230. For our law enforcement, military, first responders, so judges, colonel, if you go there tomorrow and you show your card, your service, your uniform, your ID, 15% off your order. My buddy Z's the owner there. He's awesome. And it's a way for him to say thank you to our service members, our law enforcement, our first responders. Wonderful, wonderful that they do that there. Shula Burgers is great. Also go to shulaburgers.com. When you eat there, you eat like a champion.